substance use disorders, just for example. It will work alongside of our ACT programs. It will work alongside of our FSP programs. This is a dynamic of trying to, engage people in long-term or continuous care to interrupt cycles of crisis response and needs for crisis services. That is at the core of what we do, and we'll be using this program as a tool to help in those efforts.
Judge, could you clarify that, though? Because I think that's what's confusing. We're talking about it being a voluntary program, and then it's like, well, if these are people that don't want to be in treatment or are refusing it or are cycling in and out, I mean, what's the difference with this that's not forcing people into treatment? Then what is the conservatorship aspect of it? Talk more about that.
This is not, and I know Mr. Gates is prepared to talk about this as well, this is not a path to conservatorship. This is, as I mentioned, based upon the legislative intent, an opportunity for early intervention prior to involvement in the criminal justice system or further institutionalization or conservatorship. So this is a very early stage, a primary implementation and intervention with those individuals who suffer from these very specific mental health diagnoses. It is voluntary. The statute itself, I can direct you specifically to a specific section of the statute. It's Welfare and Institution Code Section 5977.1, Subdivision D1, Subdivision D2. You're welcome to read it. It's clear. The program is voluntary. The case plan is voluntary. And it's our job as part of the team, the court team, to engage and encourage involvement. Here's what I would say, though. I think it's important to acknowledge those individuals who have spoken as potential petitioners with concerns about whether this program is voluntary or involuntary. It is clearly voluntary. However, I think we need to acknowledge the importance of that lived experience on behalf of those family members. Obviously, knowledge is power. Those with those lived experiences have powerful information to share. They should continue advocacy. They should continue to speak out on the issues that affect their family members or their loved ones, and they have a powerful voice for that continued awareness, for improvements to our mental health systems, and to improve treatment services and options for those in need. So I do think we need to acknowledge their concerns, but this particular law is voluntary.
And I think it's important, I go back to this case of Sarah, right? Think about Sarah going in and out of the system. Right now, it would be hard for us to provide any other services, right? And so what the CARE Act does, it provides an option for Sarah, for her family, and for her to be safe. And I think that's what the difference is about what we have, what we don't have now, and what we're going to have, which is an opportunity for people to go through a process so that they can have long-term care and they are being taken care of. And I think that's what I want to make sure we don't lose that piece of it, because I think it's important to emphasize that yes, there'll be about 1,000 cases, but these would be folks that if the CARE Act would not be available for them, they'd probably be in a very different dire situation, which is why as a county, we were committed to working through this legislation and working in partnership with all of the different stakeholders so that we can find another opportunity to help those that need it the most. We can take one more question.
I was going to ask, where are they staying? Is the housing already set up for all these people that you're going to be taking care of?
The housing is not all set up. Housing continues to be a challenge across populations of various kinds of need. We are sanguine about our capacity to address housing needs that may come through the CARE Act program. And we're appreciative of funding that we've gotten through a grant program from the state in order to address that over the near term. Over the longer haul, this will continue to be a challenging issue. Housing for people with serious mental illness. We have seen enormous diminutions in the availability, in particular, of board and care settings for people with serious mental illness over the last 5 to 10 years, lost something like 20% of that housing over the last 5 years. So this is an area where we really need collaborative, intentional focus in order to sort of fill that gap in the continuum. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I want to again thank Dr. Bergman, Dr. Judge Legora, and also Mr. Richard Gates from the Public Defender's Office. The last thing I want to make sure that I remind everyone and emphasize that if you or a loved one is experiencing a behavioral health emergency, please call 988. Our local San Diego Access Crisis is here to help, or you can call directly at 888-724-7240 to be connected to the right services and programs. We look forward to continuing to share information with you as this program evolves, and thank you.